So the 49ers won on Saturday night. And I watched the game, right? I don't want to get into the game. That's nothing about the game is has nothing to do with this posting. This posting is I wanted to embellish my thoughts about the most annoying, the most overbearing person on Bay Area sports radio, and that's Greg Papa. And look, without being utterly sanctimonious, personally, I used to really like Greg Papa. In fact, one of the first people that I met upon him coming, excuse me, got to get my coffee, tea, excuse me. When he arrived in the Bay Area, and Greg and I are about the same age. I'm a little older than him. And I loved him doing the Warriors. And for those of you who don't know Greg Papa is primarily play by play. He did the Warriors. He did for many, many years, 2 decades. He did the Oakland Raiders, and he did a lot of pre and post game on the NBC Sports cable outlet, Giants and A's. So he's very well versed, experienced. So about 5 years ago, Ted Robinson was let go by the 49ers broadcast hierarchy, and they hired Greg Papa. And Greg Papa changed, became more, shall we say, broadcast flamboyant. And his touchdown call became obnoxious and loud and sophomoric, appealing to the lowest common denominator. And I grew up listening to Lon Simmons and Bill King and Hank Greenwald. And those were my contemporaries. And I still love them and Miss Greenwald. I like a lot of today's broadcasters, like I had mentioned. This guy for Westwood One on radio, Ryan Radke. I like Bob Golick. I love, is it Ian Eagle, or is it Ian? I think it's Ian Eagle at CBS. Kevin, who's the guy? The guy that is, what's his name? There's a Kevin out there. But I do like some of the broadcasters today, whether it's TV, radio. But I'm of old school. Ted Robinson I like, who had a kind of a detailed crispness, and so I'm not all yesterday's people. But Papa has become pompous, and I'm calling him out because, like a lot of you, the fact that the 49ers are winning makes it all that much more tragic. I cannot stand his call, his bizarre speech, quagmires, his inexplicable shouting out of nowhere while trying to make a point. It's especially pronounced on radio during the 49ers. I did not listen on Saturday night. I've put that broadcast out of my radar because I can't listen to it. It's unlistenable. You combine Papa's craziness with Tim Ryan's just screaming, literally, after each play in which the 49ers do well. Case in point, too, when the opposition team is performing or scores a touchdown, you know right away, because it's a very banal, like, we're depressed because we have to say that such and such team, Green Bay, scored. It's so obvious. You hear it. And I can't put up with that. So I've tuned out Papa's broadcast. I listen to the TV. I try to get the Westwood One broadcast, but there's a whole bunch of, technical acquiescing that you have to do and get it in sync to the broadcast and all that. So I've given up. But Papa is unlistenable. And he has these bizarre, as I said, giggles and gargle voice. It's just weird. And it's especially difficult when you have people that I've mentioned, like a Bill King, like a Lon Simmons, like this Ryan Radke from Westwood One. Um, uh, some of these folks that do a really, really, really good job. And they're excitable and they're enthusiastic and they provide you entertainment, but they don't act like utter fucking fools and screams and nuts. I mean, I haven't mentioned the word Homer because it's not even that. I mean, he works for the 49ers. Obviously, he's going to be more excited when the 49ers score. I have no issues with that. That's pretty much the norm today. All the teams pretty much have their own broadcasters, pay the broadcasters. The days of the radio station paying the play-by-play guys is gone. That doesn't exist anymore, for better or worse. But listen to some of the broadcasters, the Baltimore Ravens broadcast, the LA Rams broadcast, even Las Vegas with Brent Musburger, believe it or not. They give you the account of the game. They give you the description of the game. When there's a touchdown by the home team, yeah, they're excited. Maybe a little too overly excited at times, but they at least are professional. And their color people are not nutcases. You know, Tim Ryan likes to boast, oh, he knows football and, he's at the practices every day. And, he's referred to, the players call him the unofficial extra 49ers coach. I get all of that. The guy knows the game, which makes it all that more frustrating and obnoxious that he has to become nuts on the radio and shouting names and acting like an utter buffoon. He acts like he's a fan out of the stands who's on a drunken rampage and is behind the microphone. I can't deal with that. And I am not alone. I miss Ted Robinson and Eric Davis and people that gave you, again, really good accounts of the game, described the action, gave you a really good analysis of what was taking place, in addition to everything else. And now you have Greg Papa, who, and I'm not going to back down because the 49ers might be going, probably are, headed to the Super Bowl. I just won't be listening. And I am not the only one. Papa is unlistenable on the radio. And if I've lost a friend, I'm not looking for friends. I'm not seeking out buddies that I can hobnob with and have a beer with. So I could say, I hang out with Greg Papa. I don't give a shit how he sounds on the radio. And let's migrate from the 49ers broadcast booth to his KNBR show with another imbecile. Although this guy is not talented. This guy gets jobs because he befriends radio program directors and they feel, why, I have no idea, but I think I know a little bit. They become indebted to this asshole, John Lund, who is a prick and an asshole and one of the most vilified guys besides Bob Fitzgerald, which I've talked about. It is a dumb KNBR show. It's allegedly a sports show from 10 to 2 with Papa. And Papa basically talks the entire time. And John Lund, his cohort, basically does three things. He agrees with Greg Papa. He's like that old character on Saturday Night Live. The Phil Hartman to Johnny Carson. He played Ed McMahon. Ah, yes, you are correct, sir. Yes, yes, yes. That character. And that's John Lund, who gets jobs. I'll give him that. Again, he's a radio gypsy. He moves all over the place and likes to boast of the fact that he worked at Detroit. that he worked in Utah, that he worked in Iowa, that he worked in LA. He's all over the place for a reason. There are bodies out there that need to be bought and used. And Papa and him do this show. It's that too is unlistenable. And Papa, again, with his utterly incomprehensible giggles and shouts and gargle voice for nowhere. And these weird off tangent analysis, these points that he makes, and then he goes into a different sport and different people, and he mentions OJ out of the blue. OJ, who had a cup of coffee with the 49ers in 1979, and yet somehow Papa mentions OJ all the time with the 49ers. I get the fact that he grew up in Buffalo and he saw OJ in his prime when he scored 2,000 yards. And that's perfectly explainable. But these frequent, bizarre, out of nowhere mentions of O.J. Simpson. Go figure. I have no clue. But moving on beyond that, you have Lund, who all he does is he will never challenge Papa. Never. It's a joke. And if he does, stop the presses. Like you said. And it goes on and on. That's Lund talking to Papa or referring to Papa. So this whole bullshit that takes place of Papa's call is an insult. And by the way, I'm not on some personal sort of fetish or people. One person said, well, why you mention him so much? Because he's on the goddamn radio every day. And he's broadcasting the 49ers, one of the most heralded legacy sports teams of all sports. I think of the 49ers, the Dallas Cowboys. I know I'm not talking about their current ineptness, but Pittsburgh Steelers, Chicago Bears, one of the most celebrated franchise, five Super Bowl championships, probably on their way to a sixth. And you got to hear this garbage. I've tuned it out. I cannot listen to him, Papa. And I'm not looking for personal relationships. I don't need buddies. I don't do this for buddies. I'm being what I can be. I mean, we all curry friendships. We all try to be, more partial to people that we like, of course. But I indicated this the other day. There are people that I really, really like. They're terrible, whether it's behind a mic, behind a teleprompter. I'm not going to acquiesce because I'm trying to get some money from you folks in terms of donations, contributions. I am not Peter Pan. So I'm not going to curry favors with Papa and kiss his ass to try to win more friendships. That's not how I operate. Doesn't make me special. And I'm not asking you to consider me special. I'm just giving you my honest opinion. It's probably going to cost me another friendship about Greg Papa. But that's how I feel. And I get you email or something. What's the deal with Papa? What do you mean, what's the deal? Of course, it's a matter of taste. I can't stand the histrionics, the screaming, the bizarre, the unprofessional, lousy, loud. What the fuck is that? Yeah, I miss Ted Robinson and Bill King and Lon and Hank Greenwald, who were excited and showed enthusiasm and showed a certain amount of gusto, but they didn't have to resort to bullshit screaming and manufactured calls. Another thing about Papa, he's broadcast the 49ers for 5 years. He spent 20 years with the Raiders. He acts as if he's been on the team for multiple decades. He refers to himself as we. I didn't know he played middle linebacker for the 49ers. I didn't realize he's occasionally the quarterback of the 49ers. We. Does he perform? Does he put pads on? Is he out on the field? That's news to me. And the hats and the gear. We know you love the team, and that's great. We get it. Pop and imbecile Lund and the whole KNBR idiocy. That's why KNBR is 20th in the ratings. They're having to hang on to the 49ers. Do they mention or Papa, the Giants, for which they are the flagship station? Hell no, I'll give them that. Or the Warriors. Oh, they've been on the Warriors, but now that the Warriors are in kind of a quagmire and dealing with a personal kind of a real tragedy and all that, Warriors haven't played in a whole, almost 2 weeks or a week and a half. So I get all of that. Again, back to Papa. I am fed up. I don't listen. I've listened enough. I tried my best to hear them. And in this case, Papa and Tim Bryant, nah, it's not my cup of tea. And those of you that agree with me, that's fine. And those of you that disagree with me, go. And a lot of these people that are tied in to the current brand of Papa broadcast bullshit are those who are on their Instagrams and their TikTok. They're just social media darlings. It's a different world. Had they listened to some of the people that I've mentioned, then I'm sure they would feel the same way about me. But I'm not here to change your opinion. I'm here to tell you why I can't listen. And if I lose a friendship or 2 or 3 or more, so be it. I'm comfortable with that. Nobody's bribed me enough to change my opinion. I'm open to that. Half kidding, but at least I admitted it. Excuse me. It's always good to taste the tea, especially the tea bag with a little string. Sorry. But I'm not here to win friends, right? At this stage of the game, I'm not looking for friends. Oh, of course. Somebody wants to go out. We want to go have a turkey sandwich at Harry's Hofbrau. Bring it on. But one of my bonds, one of my things I've sold to you folks, and again, pardon me, but I got this post-nasal congestion and, I feel like shit, but I'm doing this. One of the reasons why I do this is to give you my absolute honesty. And if that causes me to lose the few friendships that I have, again, so be it. That's my thing. Hopefully, those of you that like watching me and give me credit, which I'm not seeking, but conveying just a thought or two, that I'm not going to be bought in that regard. And I'm not looking for friendships or maintaining friendships. And if this means that I'm going to compromise myself and have fewer friends, again, so be it. It's just the way it is. But I can't stand mediocrity. What I perceive and consider mediocrity, or screaming for the sake of screaming, and all this artificial bullshit. That's what Bill King was never about, or Lon Simmons. They broadcast, they were professionals. They loved what they did, and they didn't have to, it was all natural. They didn't have to resort to cheap gimmickry. If you want to donate to this site, 415 Media, or this blog on YouTube, please go to my PayPal donate button. It takes less than a minute, and I will personally call you, email you back, thanking you for your help and your contribution. Have a great Monday.